there, everybody. Welcome to the Manufacturer's Efficiency webinar series with me, Gina Tabasso, Matt Wizeman from Focal Point Coaching, and Rich Bello from Schooley Mitchell. This month's presentation is going to be on how to Lean Six Sigma your marketing. And I know I've talked about this before. If you look at my YouTube channel, there's a number of podcasts I've given where I've talked about Lean Six Sigma and marketing. But I wanted to approach it this month a little differently because I wanted you to think about everything that you do at your job, at home, what I do, what Matt does, what Rich does. It's all the same. It's all a process. No matter what you do, it is a process. The way that you feed your cat and dog in the morning is a process. The way you take a shower is a process. And so you can apply Lean Six Sigma to any process, whether it's leadership coaching or whether it's cost reduction or whether it's marketing or whether it's operations on your shop floor. So I wanted to kind of go a little deeper into how to do that with marketing, but I'm going to bring in some real world examples. So first of all, why do businesses need marketing? Manufacturers notoriously ask themselves that. They a lot of times wonder why is marketing essential? It's not sales, it's not bringing me in money, it's not impacting my bottom line. Why do I need it? And especially in an economy like this, I mean, elephant in the room, address it head on. It's a bad economy. There's inflation, recession. Marketing a lot of times is the first budget cut companies make. That is counterintuitive, though. It's a bad move. And the reason is, no matter what, especially in a bad economy, you need awareness of your brand on the marketplace. You need a reputation that exceeds that of your competition. You need to be seen as a subject matter expert, as a thought leader. You need to have an identity. Your customers are still there. You need to understand their pain. You need to understand what they want from you and what they need, and have a competitive advantage so that when those clients are ready to spend their money, you are top of mind. When we come out of a recession or the economy turns, you are top of mind. And also, when you sell to your existing customers or the leads that you do have, you always want to be attracting new leads and new customers to fill that funnel, nurture them, and retain them so that you constantly have a cycle of new potential clients coming into your business. And if you stop doing marketing, that grinds to a halt. You're basically relying on your salespeople to cold call. And how often are people at the decision phase where they are ready to make a purchase when you call them? That's the difference between transactional and relational. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So where should I start? Well, what I always tell businesses is you need to start. This is what I always tell my clients, and it works, believe it or not. It works. It's worked for me marketing my own business. I started my own business, so I'm where you are. I had to find customers. I had to find clients. I had to do marketing. I had to do sales and business development. So I tell them the first place to start is the ground floor. Marketing strategy. Now think of it this way. I tell people, would you dream up a product you want to manufacture as you're falling asleep tonight in bed and start making it on your shop floor tomorrow? The answer is no. It's always no, because you're going to the end of the process rather than the beginning of the process. You are setting yourself up for failure if you don't have a strong infrastructure. So think of marketing strategy as your infrastructure, your foundation. It's the foundation that your house rests on so it doesn't sink into the mud and fall apart. And a lot of times I find organizations don't have a strategy. They're just taking the scattershot approach. Let's throw money at a wall and hope it sticks. Oh, this didn't work. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Because they're focused on tactics. And there's a million marketing tactics you can employ. So how do you do those strategically? And that's the place where a lot of times people don't back out to look at that strategy and put something in place that's going to succeed. And so that then leads to the next elephant in the room. Marketers often seen are as a cost center rather than a revenue generator. I hear it all the time. And that's because it's not being done strategically. You need a comprehensive plan as to how you're going to reach your target audience and how you're going to achieve measurable goals. And marketing should be measurable. Yes, there's a portion of it that is a soft skill intangible, like branding. You can't really quantify branding, but you can quantify the buyer journey and conversion points and ROI. So this is where Lean Six Sigma comes in. All these things I mentioned, doesn't it sound familiar? Variation, waste, rework, mistakes, defects. We're frustrated because our marketing's not seeing an ROI, the scattershot approach, it's not working. Well, then it's time to Lean Six Sigma it. I Lean Six Sigma the shit out of everything. So I'm gonna give an example later, but it's pretty funny. And there's another example. I taught my mother about Lean Six Sigma, and now she's Lean Six Sigmaing her house too. So we'll get to that later. You can do it to anything that's a process. So if your marketing's falling short, rethink your approach. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So switch it up. If it's not working, then it's time to do something different. So why I like to focus on Lean Six Sigma is, and people don't realize this, that it's two different methodologies. So Lean is about efficiency, and Six Sigma is about process improvement. So when you combine the two, you get minimizing waste, errors, defects, and you improve quality, consistency, and process. And so then you deliver value to the customer, and it's always customer focused. It's not us focused. It's not the organization focused. It's how can we make our customers happy? There's a wonderful book I read called Enchantment. I think it's called Enchantment. It's about enchanting your customers. And if you think about that, how do you provide an enchanting experience so that your customers become your advocates? So just to further review Lean Six Sigma for those of us who may not be familiar, Lean Six Sigma does everything I just mentioned on the last slide. And the way that Lean Six Sigma does it is the same way I do my marketing. Focus on the customer, use data to make decisions, always, optimize processes, and continuously improve. And that last step is the most important one. A lot of times people optimize a process and then they just let it coast, like they let go of the baby. And then the process falls by the wayside and it falls back into old patterns. Like think about when you try to quit smoking, after the new year, you go to the gym to exercise or you start a diet. If you make the changes and improve the process, but you aren't continuously improving it and staying on it, we slip back into our old patterns. So the way that you apply this to marketing strategy is streamlining your processes, optimizing your resources, improving effectiveness of campaigns. So you can implement these principles in any process to make those kinds of improvements. So here's where I get to my examples. So the one I always use is the one about feeding my pet. So this is a picture of a dog. I actually have 2 kittens. But I was finding myself going to the bowl, picking it up, taking it to the counter, going to the closet, getting the bag of cat food, taking it to the counter, filling the bowl, take the bowl back to the floor, go back to the counter, pick up the bag of cat food, put it in the closet. And you're like, yeah, what's wrong with that? That's how I do it too. That's probably how most people feed their pets in the morning. Well, one day it dawned on me, dummy, like, why are you going to the counter? It's dry cat food. You're not washing the bowl every day. You wash the bowl maybe once a week. It doesn't really get dirty. Like take the bowl to the bag or take the bag to the bowl and cut out all those steps. And that's what happens to your brain when you start to see through the lens of Lean Six Sigma. So one day that's an oversimplification, of course. That's not data driven. I mean, I could use data, I could figure out how many trips to the counter back and forth have I taken in a year times how many years have my pets lived and how many steps have I wasted, how many calories have I burned. But, so that's not data driven, but it is an example of continuous improvement and process improvement and eliminating waste. Another thing that I did is I explained this to my mom. And one day my mom called me and said, Gina, I just Lean Six Sigma in my kitchen. I said, what did you do? She goes, well, I was storing all my pots and pans I use every day in the oven. So every time I wanted to bake in the oven, I had to take all the pots and pans out, put them on the kitchen table. And then at the end, I had to put them all back away. And I realized the cupboard that I've got in the kitchen has all the pots and pans I only use once a year, like the pan for lasagna at Christmas or the pan for the, pizza rustica at Easter. She's like, so what I did is I went downstairs, cleaned out a cupboard, moved all those pots and pans that I only use once a year down to the basement, put all my pots and pans I use every day into the cupboard in the kitchen. So now my oven is clean. There's nothing in it. So now I don't have to keep unloading it and loading it, unloading it and loading it. And I was like, that's it. That's it. She got it. It's that simple. So how do we do that with marketing? A little more complex, right? So part of Lean Six Sigma is something called DMAIC. It is the foundation of Lean Six Sigma, and it's the acronym DMAIC. The D is define. So you define the scope of your project, whether it's on your shop floor, in your marketing process, in your sales process. Define the scope of the project, set your goals, and figure out your KPIs. You pretty much do that with every business process. Then you measure, track and analyze your data to identify areas of inefficiency or opportunities for improvement. So that's a no-brainer. That makes sense too. Then you analyze the data. So you do a root cause analysis, like what is the opportunity? What is causing this problem? And a lot of times what we think is the root cause isn't what the root cause is. We think it's something other than it is. So sometimes by doing this process, you find out the true root cause. Maybe you thought an employee was being inefficient and didn't know what they were doing. But in reality, it was actually their computer had a virus and it was causing slowdowns and they had to reboot continually and they were slowing down their work. And it's not that they were slow, it was that their technology was slow. So you're blaming it on the employee and really it's the employee's technology. And once you get that resolved, the employee is working efficiently again. That's a simple example of sometimes we think something's the problem and it's actually caused by something else. It's got a dependency. Then you want to improve the process. So make your changes based on your insights you gained in define and measure and analyze and improve that process. And then what I mentioned in a couple slides ago, control, continuous improvement. So control is continuously improving that process, constantly monitoring it to make sure that it's optimized and that it's not going out of control again. So where do we head from here? We are going to talk about something everyone's familiar with, waste. And it's not the waste that goes into the landfill. So this is an example of waste in a landfill, but there are all kinds of waste. And in Lean Six Sigma, there particularly are 4 wastes that we talk about reducing. And so when I do my marketing process, I am focused on reducing these 4 wastes. So what are they? Time, waste of time. How many times have we said that? All of us. God, that was such a waste of time. I stood in line and wasted so much time. Oh, he made me redo this. It wasted so much time. And so time waste is a big one. We've all experienced it. Number 2, resources. A lot of times we waste resources. It might be money. Maybe we didn't do our research and we spent more than we needed to. Maybe it's paper. Maybe we're printing too much and we need to optimize our process to not waste so much paper or electricity. The third waste is rework. How many times have all of us done this? We do something, it's not done right. Someone changes the parameters, they change the scope. We go back and redo it again and back and forth. And then someone else has changes and more changes and more changes. So that is a waste of time as well. And then finally, defects. A lot of times, defects can cause waste. For instance, I can think of a marketing process. One time, someone was supposed to be editing a brochure we did, and they didn't look carefully enough, or they missed it or made a mistake, and the brochure went to print with the wrong information. We had to redo that brochure. So we lost resources, we lost money, we lost paper, we lost time. We were behind schedule on that project. We had to do rework, and the printer had to reprint that. We had to re-edit that, all because of a defect. So one waste can create wastes in all the other areas. So they're all interconnected. They're not working in isolation. So the long game. So this is how do we sustain measurable success? And it's, as I mentioned, always making data-driven decisions, continuously improving. The one that we didn't talk about so far is collaboration and communication. So constantly having collaboration and communication with your team. And I put a focus on this one as a marketer. Sales and marketing so often work in isolation instead of in lockstep. And they are working at cross purposes when they should be working together. Sales is the eyes and ears and boots on the street. They are interfacing with the customer on a daily basis. They can bring back such valuable knowledge to the marketing team to inform our marketing strategies. Also, I tend to conduct a SWOT analysis with my clients because an internal SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, often is different than an external SWOT analysis. Think about it. Like what you think about yourself is often different than how other people perceive you. And it's the same with a business. How our customers perceive us and our opportunities, our strengths, our weaknesses is often different than how we perceive ourselves. So trying to get marketing, customers, and sales all in alignment so that you're all working together and rowing in the same direction. So with that said, that is the end of my presentation on Lean Six Sigma and marketing. I want to turn it over to Matt and Rich and see if you have any comments or anything you'd like to add today.
Thanks,
No?
Gina, for that. Thanks for
Unmuting.
Yeah. So are there maybe key, I guess one question, are there any one or two examples, let's say, of a critical metric to use to measure your marketing effectiveness?
Well, it depends. I kind of look at it on a campaign by campaign basis. So I distill it down, not completely one analytic or one analysis of an entire strategy, but how each component of the strategy are performing individually, because each of those is a process. So your email marketing is a process, your social media is a process, your website is a process, and each of those processes can be optimized. So a lot of times it's about digging a little deeper. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so it's really not, there are not metrics that can be universally applied. It's more about specifically for the type of marketing being done.
Yes, just like a Lean Six Sigma project. I couldn't take a Lean Six Sigma project on a shop floor at manufacturer A and take those outcomes, those analytics, those data, those measurements, those goals, and apply it to manufacturer B, because there are different variables there, different employees, different environment, different product. So a Lean Six Sigma project usually has to be unique to the environment and the system it's performing in. I can tell you, you can, in marketing, I have done so many Lean Six Sigma projects. I did a Lean Six Sigma project to reduce waste with paper production. We were finding that every time a designer would design a brochure, he would print it out, take it to the other people in the team. We'd edit it, mark it up, put post-it notes, give it back to him. He'd make the revisions, print it out, bring it to us. We'd mark it up, back and forth, back and forth. Well, I found a software called InCopy, and it's a plugin that interfaces with Adobe InDesign. And an editor can go into a design file while a designer's in there working on the design and edit direct, so that there's no room for error, because that's what happened with that printing example I gave. The designer made the changes but made a mistake. He, in the process of translating all these notes, a mistake was made and it went to print incorrectly, because you're relying on, like, the telephone game. Think about playing that in kindergarten. You know, I whisper something in your ear, you whisper it in the next person's ear. By the time it gets around the room, the message is completely different. So that back and forth causes that same kind of dissonance in a marketing or manufacturing process. Another one that I did was printing. We were paying a lot of money for digital printing at a university I worked at. Poor quality printing, poor quality paper, long lead times, long turnaround times. So I did a Six Sigma project and I didn't save any money. I spent the same amount of money, but I got offset printing for the price of digital, which is notoriously way more expensive, way better quality, way better clarity, better quality paper. And the turnaround time was put in half. We got delivery of what we ordered within half the time. So I improved efficiency and quality, even though I didn't decrease price. I got more for what I was paying. I was doing a Lean Six Sigma project around customer satisfaction and doing a net promoter score survey that would then in turn get us some customer reviews on Google reviews to increase our organic ranking with Google. And that was turning the whole process of customer satisfaction on its head, and how we were getting feedback from customers. So those are kind of examples of ways you can do a Lean Six Sigma project in a marketing department.
Got it.
Another thing you talked about, Gina, was the customer-centric approach to your marketing strategy. I think it might be beneficial for people to hear, I guess, some ways or things that you've seen that are not customer-centric, because I feel like people probably usually think that they're putting their marketing together in a way that, you know, is going to be beneficial to the customer, but maybe just some examples or an idea of a way that a company might think that they're doing that, but in actuality, they're not.
I think that all goes back to the disconnect between sales and marketing, and the disconnect between an internal SWOT analysis and an external SWOT analysis. So I have a lot of times seen marketing teams creating marketing materials that they think is what the customer wants, that they're guessing, or they've done some market research, but sales isn't giving them feedback, reality of what their customers are asking for. And a lot of times we're not getting direct feedback from the customers. There aren't a lot of small to mid-sized businesses I know doing net promoter score surveys. Anybody out there who doesn't know what that is, if you've gone to the car dealership and had work done on your car, or you've gone to the bank and went to a teller or used an ATM machine, and then the next day you get an email from the dealership or from the bank saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your experience yesterday when you went to our branch. That's a net promoter score. And they're looking at, if it's an 8 or above, they did a good job. If it's a 7 or below, they have an opportunity for improvement. And they're trying to get your feedback so that they can improve those processes and eliminate those problems. And so I think enough organizations are not listening to the customer and getting that direct channel of feedback to adjust accordingly. Thank you for the great questions, guys. This is our contact information again. Rich Bello's with Schooley Mitchell. They do cost reduction for businesses. looking at a variety of bills that you have and looking at ways to negotiate those costs down, find errors and overcharges. They have a team of auditors that specializes in that. Matt Wizeman is with Focal Point Coaching, and he is an amazing business coach to help organizations grow, to retain talent, to to just optimize your business so that you are being the best leaders that you can be, and creating the best environment for your employees and your staff to create retention and attraction. And then I'm Gina. I do B2B marketing strategy and implementation, sales enablement and assessments, project management, process improvement, training as well. And we are the Manufacturers Efficiency Webinar Series. We produce this webinar every month, specific to the manufacturing industry. And next month, we're going to be having Matt Wizeman on deck. He's going to be addressing employee turnover. In June, Rich will be talking about maintaining efficiency in compressed gases. And then in July, I'm going to talk about freeing up capital through utility audits. Schooley Mitchell does not do utility audits, but I work with an organization called National Utility Refund, and we partner with Schooley Mitchell. And so that way we can comprehensively provide audits to an organization. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those and how I work with Rich's team. And we would love to have you join us next month as well. So watch for those videos to be released. They'll be on my YouTube channel, and we also will be posting them on all of our LinkedIn profiles as well. And if you have any topic you really want us to cover, please reach out to one of us, because we'd be happy to do a special webinar focused on a pain point you have or a challenge you've encountered. We're happy to try to problem solve for you. Thank you for attending today. Everybody have a great day.